Hello everybody, welcome you all. My name is Satyajit and we are here to discuss a few questions from UPSC question papers, and we have started a series called as UPSC Simplified, through which we are going to discuss few questions, their structures, their content in the form of locus and focus, as Mahesh sir earlier said. As I'm responsible for Indian society as a faculty, I would like to discuss one particular question from one of the most interesting social institution called as family and marriage. So I would like to start with my first question. We will read out that question first and analyze the trends of change and continuity in marriage and family system in India. So here, the question is being asked for 15 marks, and for 15 marks in UPSC mains answer sheet, we are given with 3 blank pages, in which we are also offered the word limit of 200 words. So within 200 words, you have to write down this question in 3 pages. Okay. So firstly, we will discuss what are the main constituent parts of this question, and what do we mean by analyze and etc. these words. So I would like to first start with the first keyword here mentioned in the question. That question keyword is actually analyze. Okay, analyze here means you have to break down the question into different parts. You have to break down the question into sub parts, sub questions, etc. Okay, so what are the sub parts and sub questions being asked in the question? First, look at this. Analyze the trends of change and continuity. The first keyword, very important keyword, is change. The second is continuity, and that too in the two family institutions. I mean, two social institutions called as marriage and family. Okay, so if you can observe the meaning of analysis here or analyze here, actually we can find out 4 different parts here. We have to first discuss the change in marriage, okay, and continuity in marriage system. At the same time, change in the family system and also continuity in the family system. So I have 4 different parts you can observe. So change in marriage is my first part. Continuity in marriage is my second part. Then I have change in a family system as my third part, and continuity in the family system as my fourth part. Okay, so exactly what analysis means or analyze means breaking down the question into different parts and sub questions. So here we can observe there are 4 sub parts to write down in your main body. Exactly. In UPSC, we will first design our structure page wise. I would like to give the framework of that. If you are given with the 3 blank pages here, okay, for 15 marks, you know there are 3 different blank pages, and you have to structurize your content in these 3 blank pages. The first few lines for introduction, let's say 3 to 4 lines for introduction, then 3 4 lines, 4 to 5 lines for conclusion. So this is my formality, introduction and conclusion, and the rest remaining the blank pages, the rest of the pages, the rest of the space, you are supposed to write your body parts here. And in body part, actually we have 4 different sub parts. Analysis means the 4 different sub parts, and you have to manage the space accordingly. Firstly, we will talk about one institution called as let's say marriage they have asked first, and then we will talk about family as an institution. So I will divide my space into 2 exact halves, and the first half is regarding, I will give the numbering or the notation as A, about family or marriage maybe. Okay, so about marriage. So this space is dedicated to marriage as an institution to talk about change and continuity, and the second space, second half of the body, the remaining space, I will dedicate it to the family system. Okay, and in this separate subparts, I have to write about the change and continuity. So first of all, as a marriage institution, I will talk about the change in a marriage institution. Okay, change, and then I will talk about continuity here. Okay, and same likewise as a family institution, I will talk about firstly the change in family system that I am observing, and here somewhere here like second part of this subpart as continuity in what family system. Okay, continuity in family, change in family. Are you getting my point? So this can be the structure of your answer. Now you have to fill these spaces with your arguments, your points, and etc. Let's say, for example, you have 3 to 4 different points for change. So I will write like 1, 2, 3, 4 points for change in marriage system, and continuity. Let's say a couple of points about continuity in marriage system. Then change in family, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's say 4, 5, and continuity in family, let's say a couple of points in continuity, and I'm going to conclude likewise. Okay, so this can be a structure about locus and focus. So you have to focus on these 4 different parts, equally important of course, and you have to write your content accordingly. So this is my structure. So if you are okay with this structure of your answer, how to divide space in these 3 pages, I will like to actually move forward. Let's discuss about content of your answer. In the first part, that introduction part, you can introduce by simply defining what do you mean by family and marriage, and at the same time you can define their importance in the social institution, I mean society itself. So introduction can be like, family is the most basic social institution. As you know, from the marriage and family institutions that take place, I mean take birth. So family is the most basic social institution, while the marriage is considered as the sacramental institution in India. So we are actually defining it. You may also define family, what the proper definition of family. Family is let's say a group of people sharing some economic relations, some sexual relations, like this. You can define family, you can define marriage even. So definition can be one aspect, and significance of that, it can be an introduction. Then let's talk about the first part of your main body, that is changes in the family. Nowadays we are observing, because of modernity and urbanization and various other globalization forces, the family system is undergoing huge amount of changes, especially the structure of the family is getting changed. From the structural perspective, we can say from joint family, the families are actually changing towards nuclear families. So this transformation we are observing in terms of structure of the family. At the same time, patriarchy in the family system is on decline, because because of the various opportunities that women are getting, because of women empowerment, and at the same time the women are aware about their rights and etc. And at the same time the men are becoming more aware about the rights and you can say their their entitlements of women itself. Okay, so patriarchy is on decline. Thirdly, domestic division of labor जो आहे. What do you mean by domestic division of labor? The we can say the division of labor at the domestic level, which work should be done by which gender. So it is becoming more cooperative. So there is no such distinction or gender roles in family. Everybody does all the jobs in the domestic level. So this is also we are observing that domestic division of labor is on decline. At the same time, some senior members, their authority is on decline as the nuclear families are becoming more prominent. The youth in that family system of nuclear family system, they are gaining more importance, more authoritative positions than the joint family systems. So here the senior members are their authority position is on decline. At the same time, disintegration rate of the families is also on rise. The number of divorces are on the rise. At the same time, the parental roles are becoming more specialized, more emotional, and they are more focused on socialization of children, educating children, playing with them, and etc. So earlier we did not observe these parental roles. At the same time, there are certain alternatives to family system, like live-in relationships are on rise, even single parent families are on rise, etc. and etc. So basically, if we talk about the changes in the family system, we have these different arguments to talk about changes in the family system. At the same time, if you talk about changes in the marriage system, we also have ample amount of arguments and points to talk about change in the marriage system. The first change I would like to observe and bring to notice to you is the selection of partner. Especially in the matter of selection of partners, the role of the actual partners is becoming more important, and the role of the parents is on decline actually. So they are given with the opportunity to talk first, date first, and then if they found themselves, let's say, mutually competitive, then they can go for marriage and etc. These new trends are becoming more prominent, especially in the marriage system. So basically, selection of partners is more discussive, is more cooperative, and the actual mates, actual partners are given with more decisive, you can say, power in the choices of selection of partners. Then secondly, changes in the forms of marriage we are observing, especially because of legislations and awareness. So hypergamy to monogamy. Earlier, what is hypergamy? Hypergamy means marrying to multiple partners. So from in India, especially in consideration with marriages, the monogamy is dominant form in contemporary India. Additionally, age of marriage is getting increased because of course legislation. Now the age of marriage, the minimum age of marriage is 21 now. But because of various opportunities that women get, various opportunities, job, employment, educational, you can say the demands and etc. The age of marriage is getting increased because of the new demands of the globalized worlds. So because that's why the age of marriage is on increase, and we can say this is a very important change in the marriage as an institution. Then intercaste marriage and interfaith marriages are also on rise. If you consider data throughout India, total of 11% of total marriages are intercaste marriages, interfaith marriages, and that is very a good number actually. The intercaste marriages are on rise. The caste institution actually is in decline in such scenario in consideration with marriage. Now love marriage, intercaste marriage, so these are the new trends in the marriage system because of co-education, because of urbanization, because of awareness, because of employment and new opportunities. At the same time, there is new trend we are observing amongst youth, that the marriage is not considered as a compulsory institution actually. There are many youths, of course of both the genders, they are considering marriage as an optional. They might choose not to get married throughout their life. This is also a trend, by the way. Changes in the aims of marriage. Earlier the marriage was considered as the sacramental duty of the ashram vyavastha. So त्याला आपण म्हणू की you have that ashram called as grahasth ashram. But now the marriage, the aim and the goals of marriage is to nothing but to find a partner, as a, let's say, a friend itself, right? So basically the aims of marriage are getting changed. We do not marry because we consider it as our duty. We marry because, let's say, we find a partner, a companion throughout our life. Okay, so changes in the goals of marriage. At the same time, there are alternatives which are getting, you can say, invented. I mean, the new alternatives are getting invented, like live-in relationships, divorce are on rise in marriage system, same-sex marriages are happening, homosexual marriages, you can say, extramarital affairs are on rise. At the same time, unmarried parenthood is also a trend in India. We are observing, of course, the cases are very nominal, but this is a trend we are observing. And at the same time, last year we observed that one girl from Gujarat, she married to herself. That is called a sologamy, is also a new trend we are observing here. So changes. At the same time, if you talk about the changes in both the institutions of family and marriage, there are few constant, continuous or continuity trends in the marriage and family institution. Despite these changes, the change is not complete, and we find some continuing factors in both the institutions. Like for example, still, despite all these changes are observing in marriage and all, the marriage is still considered as sacrament. Okay, despite it is a love marriage or whatever that is, we took feras and etc. In front of the Agni or pujaris and etc. We perform rituals for that. So marriage is still considered as sacramental bond among Hindus and other religions also. There are social evils in marriage and family institution. They are still continuing, like social evils like child marriages, domestic violence, etc. And if you can consider about child marriage in India, there are around 30% of the total marriages which are being conducted as child marriage according to a SARI report, SARI report. So basically, child marriage, dowry system, domestic violence, these social evils are still continuing in the family and marriage institution. Then, in weddings, we observe extravagance. I mean, the consumption level in the wedding and the tendency to consume more in terms of money and etc. It is on rise basically. So extravagance, we show off. The tendency to show off in marriages is on rise. The gifts, you can say, the amount that we are expending on the marriage as a halls and the decoration and etc. So the guidance of elders is still considered as very important parameter while we choose a partner, and in a family and marriage institution. So guidance of the elders, this is again a continuing tendency of the Indian system. Then LGBTQ community, homosexuality, homosexual marriages, or divorcees, single mothers, they are looked down upon by the society. It is not actually not welcome still by the Indian society, despite 75 years of independence and modernity and globalization trends, right? At the same time, the values like mutual fidelity, and devotion to the partners are still considered as an essence of marriage, and extramarital affairs or promiscuity or etc. are not welcomed in Indian society. That is denounced in Indian society. So this bond of mutual fidelity, commitment to a partner, is still considered as the very basic, important value among this. So basically, this was about body. So you have to write about the changes and the continuity that you are finding in terms of family and marriage institution. Okay, so you can actually verify. I mean, you can actually make another model also in answer writing as you can think fit. But this is only one way to write an answer. This is only one structure. You can innovate it. You can make changes to it, etc. And let's talk about the final part of conclusion. What can be the conclusion of this question? So, despite forces of modernity and globalization, family and marriage institutions have remained at the core of social institutions. So, whatever the change that is taking place in India, and of what extent it can be, let's say globalization, modernity, industry, urbanization, and etc., we are observing that in India on continuous basis, the family and marriage institutions are still existent, and they still hold a very prominent position, very core position in Indian social institutions, Indian social systems, and that's why we can say there can be some trends of change in the family and marriage, but this family and marriage are going to be existent in the near future at least. Okay, so we can say that, so there these institutions are very much important for social life, socialization, etc., and that's why but despite all these changes, marriage and family are going to exist. Okay, so on these lines, if you're okay with this, I would like to conclude today's topic of today's question, and I will like to come again on the same you can say program with another question. Thank you very much till then.